Well, I was kind of hoping that we'd pick up these 70s down here, the 470s. But that's okay, I'll take this. So how much further can this go? I'm not too sure. I say we don't go below here for now. I say we make highs before we go below here. Depends on this rotation right now. Got some selling coming in. Now if this gets picked up, it's going to shoot up right here. But all the selling is getting absorbed for now. You can see these big orders are coming in, sell orders getting absorbed. I like seeing this little profile here. Tells you that there's more interest in transacting in the middle of the profile rather than at the bottom and at the top, but you got a bit more volume at the top than you do over here. Okay, now it's coming in, now the selling's coming in, now we need to watch out. Yep, shakeout, yep. When the majority of the volume is up here, or I'm sorry, rather down here, and you shoot up in a quick succession and you come back down, there's a higher probability of it testing this volume and then shooting back up. So normally I'd want to buy this dip, but in fairness, I don't like the profile that's happening over here, because what I want to see is I want to see a nice fat profile. I want to see it curl below with low volume. And when I see it struggle to get lower, that's when you'd want to buy the dip. But the fact is, it's such a fat profile, and that rotation above um, is necessary for it to continue lower. And there's just constant selling pressure right now. Why would I want to buy when there's constant selling pressure? You can use the argument that yes, somebody's absorbing at these levels, but you don't know how much more they can absorb. So if this goes higher from here, great. Um, but I do expect it to make lower lows. See, this is a pretty good sign over here. You know, you have low contracts traded at the bottom. This is typically a good sign if you're looking at a product like the ES, um, when it's not as whippy as Nasdaq. But for Nasdaq, when you have like 4 points, um, it's not that significant. Do I want to add to this dip? Perhaps. Now that we had confirmation. Did I miss it? I think it's gonna get filled. Is it gonna fill, 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 fill? Please fill, please fill. Nice. Uppity, uppity, uppity. That was a perfect retracement off the 50, which kind of tells me that everybody's looking at this 50%. When you have a perfect 50% retracement, it's one of those self-fulfilling prophecies, right? Because everybody's looking at this. That's literally a perfect 50% retracement. That's crazy. Which tells me it won't hold. Which tells me that everybody wants to get short around these areas. And so if everybody's short, then everybody becomes a buyer. Because once everybody's short around here, we go higher and higher. They start to look to buy. They want to become buyers because they need to get out of their trades. And then we push for highs.
everything is perfect, throw that down. You can, of course, change colors down here and all that kind of nonsense stuff. Again, that's all kind of optional stuff, and I'll leave you to explore that for you. Yourself. Anything which I haven't covered here, or if your setup works any differently than mine does, do leave a comment. I'll do my best to see if I can. Let's go back to the object. So we're going to now set up the epic pen in order to show you how to build it from the ground up. So let's delete the epic pen from my OBS. But before we get into more OBS connectors, let's go and change a few of the settings, because they will make what's coming next a little bit easier to do. So the menu is down here. We go into settings. We will hide the pro tools, because we otherwise get a bunch of tools we can't actually use. And then go down to top tools. And we've got three settings here which are important for basic usage: cursor, pencil, and clear screen. So cursor with our normal cursor, which will be coming back frequently. Pencil, Shift 2 lets us draw on the screen, and Shift 4, which we set to clear screen, will then get rid of all that. So those are all important things. There are other functions here. I haven't really messed around with them a huge amount, but they are useful to have. You can set up, of course, any kind of clock each way. I did set clear screen to Shift 4, just so I don't accidentally activate it and try and use cursor or pencil. Apart from that, mess around with that if you please, but you don't need to. Let's get out of here, and let's go back to the object. So we're going to now set up the epic pen from scratch. So let's go in window capture. Let's call it epic pen demo. And initially it's going to choose epic pen for you. Now, confusingly, this isn't actually what you want. You need to change the window to either display 1 or display 2. And for whatever reason, certainly in my case, epic pen seems to be confused about which of my displays is display 1 or display 2. Because my main display is display 1, but in this case it's just display 2 and vice versa. So if you choose the wrong display here, you'll notice that when you go across to that display, you will get, and try and do some drawing, you will get these kind of cursor lines across. But on our main display, as you see here, and if you come to drawing, nothing. So let's do Shift 4 to get rid of this stuff. Go back to Epic Pen and change its window Everything is perfect forever. You can, of course, change colors down here and all that kind of nonsense, but again, that's all kind of optional stuff. I'll leave you to explore that for yourself. Anything which I haven't covered here, or if your setup works things differently than mine does, do leave a comment. I'll do my best to see if I can figure it out. That kind of nonsense. Zone position. Oh no. But don't worry, it's pretty easy to fix this. You right click on Epic Pen Demo and then transform and just hit to screen. So hey, everything's back to me.
30 minutes of nothingness. Oh, is this it? Is this where we try to push value higher? Let's see what's going on here now. So we've absorbed all of this selling pressure. This is a significant, well, I wouldn't say it's a significant amount of selling pressure, but for the past, I would say, 10 minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, there's been a lot of selling, and we haven't been able to go lower. So you see? So we try to make a push higher. Oh, I'm actually heavily in the money right now. I'm about 37 points, 38 points, and going higher. I say we make a break for the high, and I'm gonna get out. I don't want to get greedy. We can still reach 65, but you never know with Nasdaq. Try to make that push. Actually, I might want to get off one here and leave this for there. I want to take some off the table, you know. Yeah, this is what I was afraid of. That, right as we're about to retest highs, we get a lot of selling, a lot of profit taking. It's okay. Now, my only worry and my only concern is that we come all the way back down because Nasdaq has a tendency to do that. Nasdaq can shake everybody and their mothers out. We don't want that. It's actually a good thing I took some off. Because just when you think Nasdaq's going to make a push for a high, that's typically when it just fakes everybody out. And again, my only concern is that people who aren't able to take profit up here are going to panic and then they're going to sell on the way down. But that's okay. That's pretty healthy for a product like Nasdaq and equities in general, simply because in order for the market to go higher, we need to shake people out. Because think about it. If everyone's buying, if everyone's a buyer, you have more sellers on the market, right? And when you have more sellers on the market, you have more resistance on the way up. Because what ended up happening is over here you had a lot of sellers who were buyers earlier down here, right? And so that whip up created profit taking, and the buying that was happening was not enough to sustain the profit taking, if you know what I mean. And so now everybody's frustrated. Everybody who bought and who didn't take their chance is probably either scratching their trade or they're holding on or they have a trailing stop, and this is typically why you get this kind of a red candle or a down move. So now the majority of this trailing stop scratch trades is happening right now. And now it's just a waiting game to see whether or not we continue higher or we go lower from here. Yeah, there's a lot of selling pressure. We have a lot of these buyers that didn't get their chances to get out, and now they're getting out. I'm okay holding this right now. We're at value low. We're right below the POC. That's fine. Value is here right in the middle of the pack. So far, this is just a range day. If I'm buying, I want to buy below value area, and if I'm selling, I want to sell above value area, which is what I did over here. And as we see value shift higher, then you want to start, you want to start buying because you know that value is shifting higher. But so far right now, this is just a range day. There's nothing has changed. I'm not panicking. I'm not, Of course, there's always the concern that we make lower lows. That is always the concern. And then value starts to shift lower and lower. But let's look at a higher time frame. So this is a 1 hour chart. Yeah. This is one line in the sand we don't want to go below because you have so much volume over here. When you have so much volume over here, it tends to curl below the volume because you have a lot of people that are just scratching, or you have a lot of people that are, getting stopped out. But this has just been one big squeeze. It's just a one big squeeze market, and it can continue to squeeze up until 14K. Fundamentally, nothing has changed. Yeah, this is aggressive. Yeah, so what is ES doing? See, this is the funny part. ES still hasn't made new lows. So you got one market that's a bit weaker than the other, or maybe you got one market that's lagging, or maybe you got one market that's leading. But I know Nasdaq has a big tendency to whipsaw and to squeeze and to go below levels and then to go shoot right back up. That's just Nasdaq for you. So if you expect that, then you shouldn't be worried too much. Technically speaking, let's just go look at technicals right now. I do this and I extend the drawing. We're right on this little trend line. We broke it on Nasdaq, but DS is pretty safe right now. Yep. This could just be a major squeeze. I'm not worried too much. If we start to build volume, then it gets dangerous. Over here. Notice how you have a lot of buying here as well. Well, I wouldn't say a lot of buying, but it's not all selling. So you do have aggressive buying that's happening at these areas. Got a bit of aggressive buying here. Very little, not too much. Is it enough for me to say we're going to shoot straight up? No. But something seems off about the sell-off. You see, now ES has gone right back above the trend line. Big fake out. Now I want to know if Nasdaq follows suit. It's definitely aggression here. There's big aggression here in the selling side for sure. But typically when you get a lot of this aggression that happens, you get punched in the face. You get punched in the face very hard. The moment this aggression is not matched by more aggression and you see that it's being matched by buyer's aggression, it gets really nasty for sellers. So sellers now know that they need to keep the pressure down. You see this? There's just not much volume down at these rotations. Okay, let me see if I can change the color here. What is this? We'll do maybe yellow. Yeah, yellow. So you see how volume is very low. Whoa, what is this? No, no, no. See this low volume? I don't like this. What's going on here? Is this better? Is this better? I like that better. So look at volume. Very low, very low, very low. Bit of volume here, no problem. High volume. And then it just gets lower. You know? High volume, lower. No volume, no volume. This high volume is trapped right now. Right now, they're trapped because you see this? There's a little bit of volume here. Very little. Could it be enough to shoot up? Maybe not this on its own. These guys certainly can. That's it. This sell-off came down with low volume. I mean, it wasn't that much if you think about it. It wasn't that much. I've seen it sell off on 10K, 11K, 12K volume, sometimes 15K volume on a single rotation. So I want to know, can this be sustained by sellers? It's totally possible that yes, it can be sustained by sellers. Absolutely. But we just need to wait and see. Right now, there's no panic. Right now, there's no clear signs that tell me, you know, we're going to continue further. And just look at where ES is at right now. ES is right at the point of control. I mean, clearly there's some form of lagging over here from one or the other. Now, yesterday we had the exact same thing where Nasdaq was a little bit weaker. But if ES is showing signs of strength and Nasdaq is following the ES, then this could shoot straight up. You see here, ES made new highs, came all the way back down, didn't make new lows. Look at that. ES just shot up. Now Nasdaq needs to follow suit. We need to watch what these two do. Now, is this a trap for buyers? Looks like it. I say it looks like it because you have a lot of this buying, but we're not going any higher. But what I do like to see is I do like to see some selling at the top of this range that's not able to sustain it going any lower. I like seeing this because this shows you its absorption, you know? This is absorption by buyers. So a lot of limit orders, right? They're putting a lot of limit orders on the book at these levels. So you have a lot of people selling or hitting the bid, selling into the bid, yet price can't go any lower because buyers are passively buying these areas. And now they're aggressively buying, right? And so this is also a mixture of aggressive buying, but also sellers getting stopped out. So when you're seeing this dynamic, you know what to expect. You know that it should not capitulate and go lower. And if it does capitulate and go lower, then buyers don't have, the necessary strength or the defense to push it higher. So normally when I see a setup like this, I want to go short, right? Normally when I see a major sell-off and then I see a slight retracement, I want to go short at the top of this, right? At the top of this range. But there are a few things that are stopping me from going short. Number one is that ES does not look weak right now. And number two is that we didn't necessarily break the initial balance, right? We're still within the initial balance. We're still within range. This looks like a range day that could turn into a double distribution day. But the POC is still up here. We can get a few scenarios. We can get a scenario where we never touch the POC and it continues going lower. We can get a scenario where we go up to the POC and then we continue going lower. Or we can get a scenario where we blow past the POC, go to the value area high, try to test for new highs. That's the scenario I'm betting on. Let's draw this scenario out. Let's draw it out. Either we go here and back down. Either we go straight down. Either we go here, straight up. That's about it, really. Okay, we have some selling coming in. I'm not worried about this, but it's these that I'm looking at right now. So 5% of this rotation on 3K volume, 4% on 1.5K volume. This was an up bar with negative selling. So an up bar with a negative delta is actually bullish. And the reason why an up bar with negative delta is bullish is because it's a lot of this means absorption. Are we going to shoot up? I don't know. I don't like that we're spending time here below the value area. This could be just one big shakeout again, though. Let's not panic. So the reason I bought is because I saw buying come in, and I also saw that ES was right on the trend line. So I know people say don't ever average down, but I know where I'm wrong. And I have profits to play with. So if we rally up to 82s and we don't bounce back down, but if we rally up to 82s and continue creeping above 82s, then there's a very good chance we hit 99s. There's an even bigger chance that we go higher up to the POC. But we are building volume here, which is what I don't like. But on a double distribution day, what tends to happen is you can see um, price bounce between the two volume nodes. The thing that I don't like is that they're just so tight together. That's what I don't like. It's like the market doesn't even want to go above 13,500 because it's so tight. But you're having a perfect range day on the ES, so I mean, if you look at the ES, it's a perfect range day. We're within value. So here's a test of 80s. There's a lot of buying. I like it. So it's also important to realize like what are sellers thinking at this point when they're when their trades are not going their way. You have a little bit of a squeeze and then you go back down and you can barely make lower lows. What are sellers thinking? What are they doing? They're probably holding this right now. And at some point, eventually, as they get up to 500 and higher, they start to, sweat and they want to punch out of their trades. Buyers, on the other hand, are probably thinking the exact same thing. So this test of 82 got rejected. I don't like it. Can we sustain a move lower? Yeah, big selling here. Big selling here. Big selling that's being absorbed. Everything's been being absorbed, but we just don't know the range at which it's being absorbed and how much more absorption can go on. And that's a tricky part about order flow is that, yeah, you can see absorption, but you just don't know at what levels are they willing to absorb further. They can be absorbing all of this as well, you know? And if your risk management is not in place, then you can get burned hard. You could be right, but you can get burned hard because your risk management and your entry and your timing was not there. This doesn't look good. All right, we just made lows on ES. Now I wonder what we're gonna do. It's important to monitor ES in this situation. So we're retesting this trend line. This can get nasty for sellers though, I'm not gonna lie. I know it doesn't look that way, but it can get real nasty for sellers real quick. Because everybody just got short here, and then you have this another full body candle. This can get real nasty. So we need to see what happens. But a lot of selling that's happening over here and a quick retracement up top does not look good for sellers. But on the other hand, it also does not look too good for buyers because you have a lot of buyers that are trapped over here. A lot of buyers that are trapped over here. So what I want to see is I want to see this go straight up, test 82s right away. If this takes time to test 82s, then I think we can see another leg down, which is no bueno. Yeah, what you want to do is you want to trap all the sellers. You don't want to give the sellers down here a chance to even scratch their trades. You want to make them start to sweat, because if you go up here and then you go back down, they're not worried. They haven't been offside for too long. But as this starts going higher and higher, they start to sweat, and then you get this massive squeeze up. So you want to monitor ES, you want to see what ES does now. ES is back above this trend line. That is huge for ES. That is huge for equities. Point of control is big here. Point of control over here on ES can get tested. If this breaks the point of control, this is massive for buyers and very bad for sellers. Also, note that people sold at 13,500. Some of them may have taken their profits already. Some of them are probably holding. Some of them want to see this go lower, right? As this goes higher and higher, they start to get worried and they might want to just start take profit anywhere, right? Some of them might hold. Some of them might be very stubborn at these levels. Some of them might even add on to these levels, right? But the majority of sellers at this area did not see much green in their PnL right now. So you're going to get a lot of people holding. These guys most likely have already gotten out. They saw this come down, they got out. Now 82 is huge. If we get a break of 82, then this is really bad for sellers. We've already broken 50% fib. We've already broken the 61% fib on the retracement up. So these guys do not like this. Guys who got here are not happy. Guys who got in here are still fine. They may have taken some of their profit. They're adding on to that 38%. For them, this is huge. Guys up here are laughing. They're laughing because they must have added at 50. Yeah, if too much ATR, I agree, man. It's 22 right now. Not too bad. Not too bad for the morning. Like I said yesterday, an ATR of 30-40 is not uncommon. But an ATR of 22 on Nasdaq is fine. It's crazy how we just we got rejected off the midpoint over here. I fully expected a rejection off this midpoint. We go higher than this midpoint, then I expect there to be a massive reversal. But I'm also watching ES. You see this little trend line on the ES? Broke the trend line. We broke it pretty hard, and then we went back even harder. So people who sold, people who added on to their shorts over here are worried. They're worried because this just keeps going higher and higher. This is a big fake. This is a big head fake. Notice the difference between ES and Nasdaq right now. Nasdaq made lows, ES still didn't make lows. So monitoring ES can help you with Nasdaq, knowing what Nasdaq might do next. We're retesting the midpoint. This doesn't look good for short sellers. Could break value. We're already testing value area high on ES, right? But we're down here on Nasdaq. I think there's a high probability that we reach 13,500. And if we break 13,500, we're going to hit the POC. And from there, who knows what's going to happen. But if we hit the POC from down here, I like my chances of it actually going higher. Because everybody here is trapped. Just have to wait and see. Yes, defies gravity. Ah, shit, man. It's just a range day on ES. This is just a range day. I mean, look at the, like, you got this, like, we barely spent time down here. We got rejected off the highs. We got rejected pretty strong. But we barely spent any time at these lows. So we got double rejection over here. I think as long as we stay within this range, we're fine. We're fine. We're fine because the reason why we got rejected here is because buyers use this opportunity to scratch or get out of their trade. So buyers started selling at this midpoint. Now sellers still haven't gotten out of their trades. These guys here, especially these guys, they're still trapped. If we see this come down, I would normally say once this starts to come down, I would normally say, one sec. Everybody who's trapped here, once this comes down, I would normally say that these guys, these sellers who are trapped here, are going to start to buy, and then that's enough to push it higher. But the reason why I don't think that that will happen right now is because we haven't spent enough time up here. Because if you're a seller right now, if you're a seller here, you're not worried too much. Like this is not that big of a difference from here to here. It's not that big. So if you're a seller, you're most likely holding. But if you're a buyer, on the other hand, if you're a buyer down here, you don't want to see this come down. If you start to see this come down as a buyer, you're going to start scratching and you're going to start selling. So it could be a push further down. I'm a buyer. I don't want to see this come back down here. Yeah, this is no bueno. The one thing that could help this push it higher are buyers up here, or sellers up here. Sellers up here that take profit. That's the one thing that can help. So I want to see this right now curl back, touch 82s, go above 82s, but it's not looking too good right now simply because ES is right back below the trend line. So it's very messy. If you like, I want to see ES go back above the trend line. I want to see Nasdaq go back above 82. Just notice the order flow. It's just very slow right now. It's just slow. You got this low volume, very low volume here on these rotations. Yeah, it's not good. You had high volume on the way down, low volume on the way up, and now we're going down. So I should have scratched my trade up here. When I had the chance, I should have scratched that trade. But I thought that we would break 82s and go higher. When this started breaking, I should have just scratched that trade. All right, this is pretty good for bulls. I don't like the fact that we shot up. Okay, well now I do like the fact that we're building volume here. I don't want to see this curl back down. We curl back down, it's not good. We could curl back down, pick up a bit, and go higher. Uh, but a really, really, really strong indication that this just wants to go higher is that we don't even curl back down whatsoever. Is that we just continue to push higher on this rotation. We create a larger candle. It seems to me that I could at least test VWAP. Seems to be in line with the POC over here on ES. POC for Nasdaq is still up here. A lot can happen right now. I mean, we're still in the it's still early in the morning. Well, relatively early in the morning. A rejection of value area, if we go back down, is not necessarily the worst thing. There's still a lot that could happen. I want to see this shoot up. I think we're getting a lot of buyers selling right now. What I mean by buyers selling, we're getting a lot of trapped buyers selling to get out of their position, which is why you kind of see this little bit of a struggle. But that struggle is fine as long as the struggle doesn't look like it comes down. You know what I mean? Like, as long as the struggle doesn't look like this, right? And that's fine. But if you're getting a little bit of that struggle, if you're getting a struggle like that, just a little bit, and then it shoots up, that's great because you're not shaking out a lot of the buyers. It goes higher and higher. What you are doing is you're shaking out a lot of the sellers because these sellers don't get a chance for it to come down and then feel comfortable in their positions. And that's very important. You don't want sellers to feel comfortable in their positions because if they're comfortable in their positions, somebody's uncomfortable. If these guys are comfortable in their positions, then the buyers are uncomfortable in theirs, and so you end up getting is sort of like this because sellers right here, the red sellers, are not buying to get out. If they're not buying to get out, then you don't get this kind of, you know, which is what you want if you're a buyer right now. So what's happening is as we curl up, 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 these guys are slowly getting out. These guys are slowly getting out. These guys are slowly getting out. So this is nice to see over here. This is kind of like a double distribution, you know? It's nice because this could be like a line in the sand for you. But it's still it's a very tight area, so I wouldn't call it a line in the sand. I wouldn't call it a very strong line in the sand. This can come down a little bit, pick up and go. That's what you want to see. You really don't want to see this come down here. You just don't. You want this rotation to be very short. You want it to barely pick up any steam negatively. And by short, I mean you want this candle to go down and then pick right back up and create a new candle. The more volume we pick on this down candle, not necessarily the best indication. You want to see more volume above that line. The more volume you get below this line, the higher the probability of it curling down. Come on, build a new candle up here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This technically should have had a new candle, but I think either way. Yeah, we're building volume here. It's not good. You want this to get rejected real quick like this. This is nice to see. It's nice to see this. You know, where you have a curve that goes like this, like that. It's nice because as this pushes down, it gets rejected off of a lower volume and then it goes right back up. That's nice to see. Now the same can be said about it going up, but we have this volume node up here. So this means that as we rotate higher and higher, you get less interest to trade lower and lower on these rotations. So now we just create a new up bar. I don't want to see this create a low bar, a down bar. I want to see this continue higher. I want to see this push above this line right here, 72s. We push above 72s, it's great for buyers. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's go. Come on, come on. Curl above this, curl above this. It's very important that we curl above it. It's very important that we just go like this. Because there's a lot of volume transacted here. There's a lot of volume transacted here. These guys are going to start sweating. These guys are going to start pushing it higher. If these guys can't hold, it's going to push higher. It's just not good for anybody down there. I think all the buyers got shaken out at this point, and now you're going to see a push higher. When buyers get shaken out, it means you have less selling. I explained this yesterday. This is very, very important that most people don't realize. When you have an order, when you have a, like, let's say a buy order, you're going to have a stop order, and you're going to have a stop loss right here. So when one of these gets hit, right? When one of these gets hit, the other one goes away. And so it's important to realize that if you're a buyer, right? If you're a buyer over here, let's just say, okay, and your stop loss gets hit, then this goes away, which means as price goes up, there's less selling on the way up. So I don't like this wick. I hate this wick. This is the wick. This is the worst wick to see. This wick where you get a full-on rejection off the POC over here. I don't like that. That's a trap. It's a fucking trap. Oh, the probability of this curling down is high now. Oh, that is so fucking annoying. And it just, this is so annoying. This fucking level here seems to be like the fucking pain in my ass, the bane of my existence. As a buyer, this level right here. Let's go back to 64, 65. We curl back above it. Retest 82s. I don't know how much more these guys can fucking defend 82s. It's not necessarily defending, there's just not interest. There's just no interest over here. I'm probably going to exit this trade if it continues going lower, I think. There's a good probability that this midpoint gets defended here, 45. If we break below 45, I'm outies. Otherwise, we can just bounce and then go higher from here. VWAP is relatively close. We haven't deviated too far from VWAP in all fairness. I think as we've deviated further and further, we've gotten closer and closer to it. Or we've bounced back and retraced closer. This was a rejection off POC, rejection off VWAP. I don't like it. I'm hoping that it's a trap. I'm hoping that those who shorted this are now going to get trapped as we go higher. Retail sales came in higher than expected, so this should not have really happened. No, I don't like this. Is that level going to get defended? Is it going to be enough? It very well could be. Well, I just don't see much buying here. This very well could be. This very well could be. Now, POC just shifted down. Not a very good sign. Value shifted completely down. Yep, pretty much. Hefe. Up here, yeah. I said the same thing. This seems to be a pain in my ass, this fucking level, dude. Absolute pain in my ass. Now, I don't like the fact that value shifted lower, POC went down. Not a very good sign. But it's important to realize that if longs get out, then you have less sellers on the market. I know it's hard to make sense, but like I said, like if you're long, then you're selling. And so like if longs are getting out of their trades, then as you go higher and higher, you have less longs wanting to get out of their trades. So this area seems to be defended as well right here. 45, like I want to see what ends up happening around this zone. B-shape profile though is very bearish. It's no bueno. But you have a B-shaped profile. So here's the interesting thing is that you have a B-shaped profile at the middle of this range. So I want to see if we curl down just a little bit and then go higher. If we do, that's good. If we don't, then that's bad. I'm out. So we're attempting to curl higher right now. If the sell-off continues, very bad. But you have a lot of absorption actually at these levels. You have two levels where it got absorbed heavily by buyers. No, they punched out. They're punching out.